Hi, Alice. It's great to see you again. How are you?
Hey Abe, how's it going?
Good, good. I'm very excited to get to talk to you again. It was nice talking to you with Sarah last time, but you guys have so much fun together that we didn't get to that many questions and really get to the meat of the show. So I'm happy
I
to have the
know.
chance to
I'm
speak with you both
sorry.
separately.
I apologize.
That's really okay. I've had the chance to see all but the finale of season two, and I'd love to talk freely about some of the things that happen within it, assuming that people watching this video are also up to date.
Right. Okay, great.
So I know you had mentioned last time we spoke that you, like your character, are very athletic and have also dealt with substance abuse. What has it been like to explore themes like that on the show?
I think we're pretty conscious of the tone of the show when we tackle more serious subjects. We need to be a little bit general and not really, we're not making Requiem for a Dream here. It's a dramedy sci-fi show that has interesting subplots, but everything needs to kind of be from Harry's perspective in terms of his, you know, I think of it like, what can somebody who landed on Earth and has only been here for like a year absorb about society? It's not going to be everything right away. So we have to kind of layer it on very slowly. And that's how I kind of think of our audience. So with Darcy having substance abuse issues, it's like, I've been pretty vocal with Chris, our showrunner and head writer, about what that should look like, and at least from my perspective, and how sort of yeah, I guess since Darcy is kind of like me, ways that she would try to cover it up and her weaknesses. I have to be honest, I'm actually on cold meds right now. So I'm a little foggy. I hope I'm making sense at all. But I feel like if I get one thought across, it'll be a win. Because Dayquil is a powerful drug. Um, but there's just basically like, we have to show that this character is in pain and that she is dealing with it, maybe not in the best way, maybe in a bit of a self-destructive way, without going too far down the rabbit hole of like, this is a very special episode of Resident Alien, because that's not really what we want to do.
Of course. Well, I think that that balance is achieved. Do you get to do a lot of skiing? I know we see a couple of like cool scenes. How much of that is actually happening?
I I ski now. Um, we did not. I don't know if I said this in the other interview, but I had no experience downhill skiing. I'd been cross country skiing, but where I'm from in Minnesota, there's literally one hill, and they use it for like the Olympians who get to go from Minnesota. Like it's just like that's it. So in Mike's, I had no downhill experience, and I took 4 hours of lessons, mostly to get proficient at taking the skis on and off and stopping, because that was the only thing I was going to do on camera, is basically move around in the skis as though I was a skier. Um, and then after the 4 lessons, I felt like, okay, I'm ready to take on the bunny hill. And so we went up to Whistler, and I spent all day going up and down the bunny hill. And my boyfriend, who's a pretty great snowboarder, was doing like the Black Diamond and all that stuff. And at the end of the day, he was like, you should use your lift ticket, because I'd paid for a lift ticket, which is like $180, and you don't need it for the bunny hill. So I just wasted the money. He's like, you should use it. Go, there's a green line all the way down. We'll do it. And so we went up and up and up and up. And then we got to the top. We kept going up. And then we went up some more. And then we went up past Jeff Bezos' rocket. And then we went around Mars. And it was like insanely high up, like above it was ridiculous. I was like, I'm going to die. And sure enough, we go down the green line, two stops down the green line, and it was like, welcome to like the fun time, green line. And then we get to like one wrong turn. All of a sudden, all the green line signs disappear, and it's like, welcome to the slingshot, bitch. And it's got like a picture of kids dead on the sign. And you're like, what? So we're just like stuck in the middle of the mountain, and we just had to take off all our gear and like basically fall down. It was, but you know, I paid for it, so.
Sounds like quite the adventure. I like the way that you framed it, that this all has to be from Harry's perspectives. And I think what I enjoyed most about some of this storyline was that Darcy was able to get him to come because there were churros and basically like threatened him with the churros. I think it's just such an entertaining part of the show.
You don't get churros a lot in a small Colorado town. And I mean, I'm a donut fanatic. And so if I'm in a place where there's not donuts, and somebody's like, there's donuts here, it's pretty much a guarantee that it's going to be like, I mean, I'll check it out.
Even if they're $8 each, right?
Yeah. That gets my curiosity piqued, because I'm like, well, they must be good.
Which isn't necessarily the case, but
But they taste pretty good. Once you have an $8 donut, you're like, something about this.
Well, I do enjoy with all that, inflation and, big business coming to patients at the resort. I think earlier in the season, there was a lot, Darcy was sort of in the middle of Ben and Kate a little bit, and that seemed like it could really be a problem, but it ended up not being much of an issue. How did you sort of see that storyline?
For now.
For now.
I'm always like, for now. We got to keep the will they, won't they. That's important to TV, right? Everybody's got to be a will they, won't they forever. So we got to just, for now.
Well, I think Ben has enough problems on his own without somebody threatening the relationship. He's going to sabotage himself.
Abe, for now. Yeah, I think it was like key that, we start to develop a relationship with Kate, because Kate very much, both in the terms of the show and in terms of the town, was just there, existing, taking up space. And it was just like, she felt it. The character, I think Kate, feels that way. And there's like this tension with, the rest of the town, and she doesn't want to be there. And so and Darcy naturally, I mean, they do have a bit in common. There's a lot about, Darcy's traveled the world. She's seen a lot, and Kate really wants that for herself and hasn't been able to live that life. So it makes sense that they would hang together. And so I think that for Chris and for the rest of us, it's just like, and for the writers, we didn't want to write the thing where it's like these two hate each other, because it's like, it's been done so many times and it's not interesting to us. And it's just like, they're adults. So, I think that there's forgiveness there, obviously. And we definitely didn't want to write the thing about the jealous wife, because in many, many realistic marriages, like if somebody kissed somebody, it's just like, yeah, it's, it's a big deal, but it's like, it's 2022. People don't really lose their marriages over stuff like that anymore. So yeah, I'm glad that they went that direction with it.
Well, I know that Ben isn't too well liked among some of the people in Patience, but the one who I really feel for is Judy. Why is everyone so mean to Judy?
Yeah, I wonder when Judy's going to get her day in the sun, because she's really neglected. And she's very well loved by the audience. So I wonder, how long that's going to last, that she's going to be stepped on like that. But she just, Judy, she's another interesting character, because Judy definitely developed out of what was going to be a very cliche relationship with her and Darcy in the pilot. Maybe it wasn't in the pilot and it was in the date episode, maybe episode 3. Judy came along and like was going to have this contentious relationship with Darcy, where they were calling each other slut, bitch, and stuff. And they took a turn with it where they were like, why don't we have it? I don't remember which writer, but they were like, why don't we have it so that like they're just calling each other that, like girls do, like you know, in an ironic way. And actually, Judy's really obsessed with Darcy. And it just became this like game that was so fun to hit over and over and over again. Have like Darcy pretty much like forget that this person exists, but she's like entirely obsessed with Darcy, and she just wants to be part of this friend group so bad that she just acts like she is already. And it just became so fun. But, you know, we're getting to the end of that like game where we've hit it so many times, Family Guy style, that like there's a breaking point. And I think with everybody in town, you know, there's an arc of redemption. So we'll see what happens in season 3, I think, with Judy.
I'm excited. I also know that you mentioned that you have a Star Trek podcast, and I know that that's a, you know, phenomenon with a huge fan base. What have you felt as far as the Resident Alien fans go? Do they compare in any way?
Oh, no offense, Resident Alien fans, but I mean, there's an overlap. So in terms of those guys, they compare. But our show, you know, we are co-directed by Robbie Duncan McNeil, who, as we all know, played Tom Paris on Voyager and is a huge part of the Star Trek universe. And we have George Takei playing the Gray. So you know, as much as possible, I hope that we're starting to fold in more and more cameos and make ourselves part of that universe, because that would be ideal. But I also played Vulcan triplets on an episode of Lower Decks that I think has just recently aired. But yeah, I mean, that fan base is legendary. There's, you know, I remember when my co-host Veronica Osorio and I first went to our first con, like, I think it was like 7 years ago or something. We were like shocked. It's so utopian. I mean, the way Star Trek has created this universe that is about acceptance and evolution and inclusivity has really, I think, been reflected in the fan base, and just really decent people coming together and being joyful. And it's really, yeah, I hope that is the direction that we're going for a Resident Alien fan base. But unfortunately, after the reaction to the Girls' Night episode, I mean, maybe we weeded some of them out, but that's not what we saw. We saw a lot of pretty disturbing misogyny and hate from so-called fans directed at the writer of that episode, who incidentally plays Judy, Jenna Lamia, and just at the show in general. And it was like, wow, still out there.
Yeah,
So,
oh, that's very frustrating.
I mean, it was frustrating for a lot of, I mean, I think that for Jenna it was new and she was like, this is weird. I didn't know this existed. But for me, I was like, we made it. We got them mad. We got this misogynist mad. I'm so pumped. We did it. People were like, you're too excited. And I was like, sort of my brand. So.
Well, I'm all for Star Trek crossovers, but as you may remember from last time, People of Earth is the show I really want to see, like, come into the show a little. And having the Gray is like a step that it's possible. I don't think it's going to happen, but is that something you've been lobbying for at all?
Well, yeah, I mean, when you do alien shows about people experience, and it's just like, it's a weird amount of overlap between the two storylines. And as far as I know, not a ton of the People of Earth cast is otherwise occupied on series regular gigs. There might be some room there, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, we'll have to see, because Michael Cassidy fit right in, and now, you know, he's a heroin addict, I guess, on the streets of, I forget which town they dropped him off in. But yeah, it'd be great to have like Brian Husky, Oscar Nunez, some of the people come back. I don't know. We'll see.
Well, I like that. We'll see. That seems to be the general vibe. It's like anything can happen, and I'm all for that. So well, I really appreciate you talking to me, especially with Dayquil. So I hope you feel better, and that we get to talk about this again in the future.
Yes, you too. Thank you so much, Abe.
Thanks so much. Take care.